and welcome the final episode of 2024 here for the Funky Pod Mindful Media and Communication. And as good podcast etiquette, I guess, dictates, it's a little bit of a reflection of a look back. It's a little bit of like a look ahead, what's going to happen. And it's a little bit of me talking about a few media theories that I think can also help us understand what is happening right now during the holiday season. So a good mix of everything that we usually do here on the podcast together. With that said, let's jump right into the holiday spirit, obviously. So I hope you're all in holiday mood, you're celebrating Christmas, looking ahead for New Year, enjoying your holidays, whatever that might be. Or if it's like here in Thailand, there are no official holidays for Christmas, but it's still like very festive. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying your time, of course. And well, glad you spent some of the time that you have now with me, so I appreciate that. And so let's jump right into this sometimes rather chaotic holiday media, all right? Because while the holiday season is supposed to be calm and reflective and family oriented, and you know all those stereotypes, let's be honest, it's not always the case, all right? And very much Christmas, at least for me, is a lot about nostalgia, I think. I think it's for many people, right? When you're getting older, you're just reminiscing the old times. It's about maybe traditions that you have with your family, traditions that you created as an adult by yourself. And let's be honest, we're spending lots of time on media/social media, right? That could be binging Home Alone for the 20th time. That could be watching Bruce Willis, of course, in Die Hard again. Yes, it is a Christmas movie. Overly emotional holiday ads, maybe, or you just try to actually switch off from the constant stream of notifications on social media wishing you a Merry Christmas. Media is everywhere, especially this time of the year. And that's exactly why I wanted to get out this holiday episode, because media shapes how we experience the holidays. Okay, that's what we're going to look a little bit into with a few look backs and predictions, of course. So we're going to explore a little bit of like how media constructs those holiday narratives, dissect a bit of the trends that happened in 2024. I have one or two boldish predictions, I think, actually one bold prediction at least. We're looking at AI, we're looking at sustainability, and I'm going to introduce a concept that I'm kind of exploring right now, which I think will be a big thing in 2025 moving forward. Also working on a paper on that, so stay tuned, more at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode. So let's just jump right into it now, okay? So the overarching theme of this episode is like how the media is shaping holiday narratives. So how do media define, amplify, maybe even distort our understanding of what the holidays are? And a few key theories here, okay? So one of the key theories here is, of course, the framing theory that we are all familiar with already if you listened to the podcast before, right? So the framing theory suggests that media shapes how we view the holidays by constructing specific frames that highlight certain values, right? So there's, every time we look at like a fact, a news piece or whatever, there's like a huge story, right? But then depending on the channel that you're watching, that you're consuming, this channel, this outlet will put like a certain frame onto the story. Nobody shows you about the whole story, right? It was like in a frame. And as an example, yeah, Christmas could be framed as a season of consumerism in the West, for example, right? There are ads everywhere. Like ads bombard us with messages about giving, often through expensive gifts. That's framing. I mean, you see it in the ads. It's like, hey, look, the boyfriend gives this to the girlfriend, and the girl gives this to the parents and whatnot, right? So this is framing. The Christmas ads try to frame Christmas as a season of gift giving, and if you give expensive gifts, that's even much better because it means you care more, right? Which we know, of course, is not true, but that's a frame to put on the holidays. Okay, so that's one example of the framing theory. Another example could be New Year. New Year is framed of like this time of self-improvement. Yeah, ads push gym memberships, for example, productivity tools. So I'd stop doom scrolling here, learn this, learn that. Motivation content, of course. Why? Because they want to capitalize on the resolution culture. I'm going to call it resolution culture. I don't know if it's a thing. Okay, so we all come up with those resolutions, right? Hey, new year, new me, and so on, right? And so now, of course, those companies put a frame on it, like, yep, new year, new you. That's true, and that's how you do it. Yeah, again, that's a frame. Here, you will be the new you. Self-improvement is big in the next year. Let's do it. We're here to help, right? So that's another example of framing. Okay. I also want to put a bit of a cultural contrast on there, because I mean, I record this here from Bangkok right now. As you know, if you listen to the podcast, I'm in Bangkok. I'm not from Bangkok, as you can also guess probably. So in Thailand, Christmas is framed less as, of course, as a religious or family-centric holiday, because it's just not the thing. However, it's everywhere. Okay, if you go out there, Christmas everywhere. Today's the 25th of December while I'm recording. Everybody's going to be dressed in red and green. The malls are full of Christmas decorations. Like in their Christmas markets, there's Christmas parades. They dressed up elephants in Christmas clothing the other day. Christmas is everywhere, okay? It's more like a visual spectacle here. Shopping malls are decked out to the max, okay, with like elaborate decorations and so on, even more so as back home. And I'm saying this because, again, it's a frame, right? Like, for example, if like me, you're coming from a smallish town / even village in Germany, for example, it's more like religious, being with the family. That's the frame, right? That's how you grow up in that frame. When then here it's more about like, it's not rooted in religion or in family, because the Buddhist culture has different holidays, obviously. So it's in like, hey, it's the season of going out, going to the malls, going for like fancy dinners, which could be an overlap, of course, doing this with the family, doing that with your friends, hanging out there, having elaborate parades, and so on. Yeah? So another frame. So different cultural contrast here, right? Just because it's not a religious festival in Thailand doesn't mean there is no celebration of it, okay? And companies are putting frames on this as well. Right? If you say, okay, you're in this frame, follow this frame. Yeah, here, look, this is what Christmas is supposed to be. Go do it. Okay, so that's framing. All right, so no matter in which cultural context you grow up, there will be some sort of framing. Okay. Another theory that fits in there would be the cultivation theory. We also talked about this a lot on the podcast. Yeah, it's like the more you see something, the more you kind of like agree or follow it. Okay, so in this case, the more we see the idealized portrayals of holidays, the more we internalize them as like a reality. Now, over time, things like movies, the Polar Express or Love Actually, which I actually like, but they reinforce those ideas of like magical, romanticized holidays, which is very cute as a rom-com. But if you didn't think of it as like your reference, maybe it's not the best thing, right? And of course, social media adds like a whole nother modern layer, like Instagram posts of like perfect celebrations create like this pressure to conform to this unattainable standard of like how Christmas holidays are supposed to be. Like when I was a kid, oh God, I hate to say that, but before social media, you also had it. You had it with like TV shows and movies and so on, of course, but now in social media, you see it all the time. Maybe even your friends with the fake IG stories. Like, look how awesome everything is, right? So this, of course, adds to the pressure, which is crazy. That's the cultivation theory. The more we see it, the more we think it's kind of real. A few examples for you, like holiday ads, okay? And a few of they're very cool, very well done, but like John Lewis Christmas ads, like pretty famous in the UK, right? Those emotional narratives about love and connection, which is great, and they are of course designed to resonate with the audience, and initially then also drive sales, of course, or eventually drive sales. And they are great, they are creative, I'm not hating on it, but you have to understand that they all have an agenda. Okay, Coca-Cola, the go-to ad goat of Christmas ads, right? Coca-Cola Santa Claus, a decades-long campaign that shaped basically how we actually as society visualize or imagine Santa Claus. Red suit, jovial demeanor, and all that, that's all made by Coca-Cola, right? You're probably all aware of this. It's just sometimes you have to understand, like, hey, they did that. They're crazy. Um, Social media, I was just talking about it. So social media, TikTok trends such as DIY holiday crafts and skits about like chaotic family gatherings, that reflects like creativity and relatability, and it makes you consume it. And again, not all those trends or all the things I mentioned are terrible, right? Those ads are emotional. It's nice. You like to watch it. Maybe it's even a tradition to watch it. Um, those TikTok trends can be fun to participate in. Then you have IG versus reality, right? Influencers showcase like those meticulously like curated celebrations, like while also on the other hand you have like viral memes that poke fun at the inevitable chaos of like family gatherings, right? So again, it's not all terrible. Those memes are fun, for example, but it all kind of jumps onto that wagon of Christmas media consumption. Well, and I mean, not to forget like movies and shows. I'm gonna take Netflix as an example, but everybody else, any other platform is doing the same thing. But of course, there are lots of holiday rom-coms on Netflix right now, right? That just then enforce those modern cliches that are out there. And this then combined to what I also have to admit that I fall for, nostalgia. I mentioned it in the intro, right? Nostalgia through reruns. Home Alone, Elf, Die Hard, they remain central to holiday traditions, and that's on purpose. You know? Cultivation, agenda setting, framing maybe even too. And so those theories influence how we consume media and how the media is producing and pushing out their media products. Okay? And again, it's not always bad. I enjoy watching Die Hard. Of course I do. I enjoy watching Home Alone. Of course I do. But I also know that there's an agenda behind it. So if you know that there's an agenda behind it, if you know what they being the media companies, Netflix, whatever, are doing, and then you say, okay, I know what they're doing, I'm still going to consume it, fine. Then you know what you're doing. But we have to be aware of what is being done to us so that we are mindful. That's the topic, that's the theme of the podcast, mindful media consumers. Okay? And that's why I keep saying that. Okay, but enough of that, because I also want to reflect a little bit on like what happened in 2024. And then of course after that we're going to have a quick outlook on what's going to happen in 2025. So media-wise, okay, media trends of 2024. So what defined the media consumption this past year? If you think media in 2024, the first thing that comes to mind is probably, let's be honest, AI. AI, and in particular in media creation, right? Gen AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Meta AI, Snap AI, whatever they call it. Gen AI tools reshaped how content was created and consumed, right? Spotify also AI curated holiday playlists. You can listen to it right now, right? In the US, they even have a feature live where you can say like, hey, Gen AI, in like, create me a playlist about blah, 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 enter, just like you talk with ChatGPT, and then you get a playlist for that, right? So that caters to individual taste based on listening habits, based on your input, and so on. There are AI-generated Christmas cards, yeah, that gained a lot of traction now in the last few weeks and so. The main concern that we saw here, though, with Gen AI created content, also blog posts, obviously, right? So just news articles created by AI, which really, I'm a big fan of Gen AI because I think it's going to make lots of work easier, faster, and so we can focus on like more difficult, more creative things. But there's so many bad use cases of how news outlets use Gen AI. It's really, 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 really frustrating. And the concern about losing human touch, right? I like to kind of push it aside because I say, well, it's your, meaning our task to make sure that we're not losing the human touch, that we're not losing it. But then those use cases show that people in charge in news stations, for example, don't care, right? First publish gets the most clicks, don't care about quality, don't care about emotions, the human touch, which then is frustrating. So I'm a little bit like torn here, to be honest. When you look at a theory that fits here, of the theories I also teach at uni, the technological determinism theory, that's the idea that technology shapes society, right? But then usually at uni, I have a discussion with my students like, hey, so do we believe in technological determinism? Does technology shape society, or does society shape technology? Different angles, different viewpoints, so we usually discuss it. If you're taking the stance of technology shaping society for a moment, you can see how AI is increasingly steering how media is produced, faster, easier, less detailed, less fact-checked, maybe even, and also consumed. Because I think the consumption is also one of the problems, because, and I talk with my students about this a lot as well, and they can't hear anymore. They're like, oh, my ears are bleeding, but it's up to the consumer to tell the production companies, the producers, your AI content, pardon my French, sucks. As long as you're consuming that shitty content, and I will turn on my language in a second, as long as you consume that content, they're gonna produce it. So stop consuming shitty content. Stop engaging with it. Stop liking it. Stop sharing it. Stop looking at it. Stop following it. Then they have to focus on better content. You can just say, oh, they all create bad content. Yeah, then stop consuming it for... not swearing on Christmas. I mean, I already did, but no, I'm sorry. Okay, so, hey, the thing is here, but however, though, there's also a question from my point of view about the agency of the creators. Because clearly creators don't care about creating good content, right? They care about creating engaging content, which does not always, barely ever now, equate good content. That is a big, 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 big problem. I think you could use AI to create amazing content, much better content than you have done before, but it looks like that creating content that just gets some engagement is enough, which is really frustrating. So that's the AI part. A few other trends. Privacy. Bit happy about that. I hope there's more on this in the predictions, but the privacy pushbacks have happened a little bit, right? Data privacy became a bigger concern compared to previous years. E-commerce platforms have faced some backlash here for tracking user behavior. For example, during Black Friday, where there were some news out there. I just saw some videos that also exposed how some apps, such as Honey, for example, that coupon app, how they're actually like, basically, allegedly, I have to say, I think the frauding users. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out, just Google your YouTube and Google for Honey scam. You will see it right away. There are like a few tech channels out there that talk about this right now. More consumers, according to stats, turn to encrypted platforms such as Signal, for example, to have communications on there. I have my grandma on Signal, for example. I'm like, what is happening? So I think privacy becomes more of a concern. More on this in the predictions, but yes, it becomes more of a concern, which is a good thing in theory. I still think there are some things that we need to help those that aren't media natives with, but at least it's becoming more of a concern, which generally speaking is a good thing, I think. If you want me to add also a theory here, I thought about that when preparing. There's one that I find interesting. It's called surveillance capitalism, which basically talks about media platforms monetizing personal data, which then makes privacy a very interesting battleground. Because then will you be the platform that offers privacy, and in the hopes of users turning to you to use you over the platform that offers less privacy, or are you the platform that will sell the data? Saying, okay, if users don't like it, eventually they're gonna leave, but I'm gonna make money before they leave. Or are you like an ad blocking plugin that just says, okay, I'm gonna help you with privacy, but then secretly sells the data anyways? And so that is very, very interesting. So I think privacy is a big thing. More on this in just a second. Two more trends I saw this year. Attention spans are still getting shorter and shorter. Like micro content is getting more and more. I mean, that's been a trend for years, but it's just getting more, which is crazy. Like, how short can it be? TikToks and Reels, of course, still like dominant when it comes to consumption. All those 30-second tutorials, tricks, and so on. I think there's a 30-second Christmas story challenge, if I'm not mistaken, which is, I don't want to be the old man yelling at cloud, but I mean, platforms offer longer form content now, right? So on TikTok, you can have longer videos. On IG, you can. Question is it going to be consumed, right? I'm curious to see what's next, to be honest. Another trend, sustainability in media that I noted down. More brands seem to embrace like that eco-friendly messaging in their campaigns, which is interesting. Yeah, in the holiday spirit, like gifts that last, for example, I've seen like a lot when I was looking for like current holiday ads. Brands are highlighting that they're carbon neutral, for example. Influencers promoting like zero waste products and so on, which is interesting, which is cool also, which goes hand in hand with the statistics that show that Gen Z is more into authentic brands, but also in sustainability and more concerned about like the impact on the world as a whole, which is nice, compared to like millennials and older generations, which are more like money driven, I guess. So that's something interesting. It seems to be seen like if making claims is enough, or if there will actually be a way to validate that, right? If the audience actually wants validation before trusting the brand for that. When it comes to predictions for 2025, I have 5 predictions for you. Okay. Prediction 1, not bold. AI will continue to grow. And I think AI will continue to grow beyond just marketing, what I just said in the recap, right? The Gen AI creating content. I think a few things. Hyper-personalization is just a huge buzzword in marketing right now, which we will have to look into, of course. So hyper-personalized AI generate movies, I think, is something that's important to look into. Yeah, just imagine you upload family photos and you get custom holiday films featuring your loved ones, for example. I think Sora and what's it called? Vio, the one from Gemini, which is not available in Thailand, so I couldn't try yet. I think we're that close to actually making this like mainstream. So this is not like a crazy prediction in my opinion. So hyper-personalization will be just a big thing. Then it comes down to, hey, privacy? I think we will see emotional AI support apps popping up more. There are tools such as, I think, Wobot or Replica. There are more. They could offer like advice on managing like family dynamics during the holidays, for example, but also then of course like couple stuff and relationship stuff and general mental health stuff. I think there's just going to be more of that. Apps such as, I think, BetterHelp, for example, which I know lots of videos out there say it's a scam, never tried. But I think they will see a huge competition unless they pivot and actually also implement that somewhat, the personalized aspect there. But I think emotional AI support tools and apps will be a big thing in 2025 moving forward. So watch out for that. If you're interested in that, maybe you're the one that actually pushes or creates something there. I think also that privacy awareness becomes mainstream. I think that we will see encrypted platforms for anything. Not just for shopping or for messaging, they will grow. I think we will be more aware of our data. We will be more aware like what's happening with our data, and we will be more focused on protecting our data, I think. So we're going to focus on privacy first when it comes to apps and websites and so on. There will be more features in apps, I believe, such as like auto delete after viewing, after reading, not just for your not safe for work pictures that you send to your husband, wife, boyfriends, girlfriends, and anything in between, but generally speaking, just want less paper trails, I guess, of us. Okay, so I think that will be something, like privacy will be something that will become more mainstream. Maybe there will actually be some privacy influencers, just like you have tech influencers and so on YouTube. MKHBD, I'm looking at you, stop promoting honey and promote more privacy. So there will be more privacy consciousness, and I'm looking forward to see what it actually does with technology, and if there's going to be an impact in 2025 and beyond. I think there will be. I also think that sustainability is growing thanks to Gen Z, will be growing more thanks to Gen Z. So there will be more eco-consciousness out there. There will be more content about eco-consciousness. There will be more content about sustainability. When it comes to holidays, like there's like a trend already that's like skip the wrapping, for example, right? So I think things like this will be like more trendy, and we will see more of that not only in the holidays but like on a broader level as well. So I think that's going to be something that, thanks to Gen Z, we will see lots of growth there. Now the one thing that I announced earlier, and I'm working on right now because I think it's going to be a thing and I can see a trend, and I'm analyzing it right now and I'm doing research on that. So I'm not going to share too much, but I think we will see something, trademark pending, that I call hyper-reality fatigue. So what it is, for me, it's like the overexposure to curated, like idealized realities on social media that then leads to burnout. Okay? And it has several manifestations. So we see one thing, for example, social media detoxes become trendy, right? So we see that on social media, kind of weird. Social media detoxes are a thing. Yeah, influencers encourage followers to celebrate IRL, for example, and so on, like holidays. You see more raw and unfiltered content that gains traction. Yeah, imperfect in holidays, imperfect trees, messy kitchens, maybe even genuine family moments and things like this. But I'm just giving holiday examples, not only gonna affect the holidays, obviously. And the theory behind that, and then I explain a little bit more, is like, when we look in media theories, I think there's one big theory called postmodernism that we kind of live in. And there's one researcher, his name is Sean Baudrillard. He talked about the concept of hyperreality. Hyperreality basically means that we live in a world where reality and fiction merge. It's so hard to say what is real and what is not real. If you see something on Instagram, and maybe it's fake, maybe it's staged, maybe it's like just edited, you don't know. But you see it, you believe it, so it's real for you. And that's what we call hyper-reality in media theories, okay? And more often than not, these days, hyper-reality, what you see on IG, TikTok, and so on, becomes more compelling than reality, right? And I think that this can feel very oppressive. I think I'm not the only one who thinks like that. So if this feels too oppressive, as of now, we might feel like sad, negative feelings, feeling like we don't live up to what others are doing, they have a better life. But the more we understand that this is not real, the more this will lead, I think, to the hyper-reality fatigue. Meaning we understand what we see is not real, so digital literacy grows, hopefully. And this means we understand that it's not real, and we're just so tired of it. And eventually this leads to then, hopefully, unsubscribing, for example, right? So I think hyper-reality fatigue will be a thing that influencers will have to grapple with. And I'm sorry, but no sympathy from me for that. Be real, then you deserve all the impact you have. If you're not real, then you don't deserve it, right? So I think hyper-reality fatigue will be one of the things to look out for in 2025 and beyond. If you want more on that, follow me on all the academic platforms, or also like just on social media on my website. I will be publishing articles and papers on that in due time. Okay, last prediction I have. I think we will see more nostalgia marketing, more nostalgia media products, like retro-themed media campaigns. Yeah, AI now can recreate vintage aesthetics. We have all those Karate Kid remakes as an example, which I love, by the way, but it's just one example, right? So we will see more of all that. We have right now Christmas, right? We have AI-generated Christmas ads from Coca-Cola and from the NBA, which really made me really, really, really sad and annoyed. And I'm all for technology, but there was just too much people. But so I think nostalgia marketing, nostalgia media products will try to get us, the older, did I call us old already? No. Us and the older generations and the younger generations, bringing us all together by using things that we can relate to with stuff that then the younger generations can relate to, and then like merging this and AI will just help making that happen. So I think this is something that we will be seeing a lot moving forward. Okay, I have two more, that was almost German, two more things that I noted down that I wanted to quickly talk about on the podcast. Quick personal reflections. But I did reflect on my teaching and uni life already like 2 weeks ago on the podcast, so check this out. But yeah, so for this right now, I am quite fascinated when it comes to media for like what AI can do and what it cannot, but how people use AI, because I don't see that many great use cases as of now. So this is kind of disappointing, to be honest. When it comes to the podcast, this year was the first time that someone actually said like, "Hey, you're the guy from the podcast," which was kind of cool. So that was nice to experience once. But hey, getting it, Joe Rogan, I'm coming for you. So we're getting there, which is nice. So I appreciate that. So everybody listening, watching, and so on, sharing, thank you very much. Thumbs up. Very, very cool. Personal goals, right? It's always like setting goals. I'm not a big fan of like new year, new me, and all those resolutions. But I mean, there are goals, of course, that you follow. So I want to be a bit more present, if that's possible. Whether it be like Muay Thai training or like maybe even like taking actual breaks from screens here and there. That would be cool. But also mostly I'm delivering like more hopefully thoughtful and engaging content here for the Funkit Pod, because talking to you and also then talking to myself sometimes is really helpful to actually hear your thoughts and make sense of things. So that is really cool, and it leads me to like my last point, that heartfelt thank you to everybody who's listening, who has been listening in 2024, made the podcast grow according to Spotify Wrapped, so I appreciate that. Looking forward to what 2025 is bringing, of course. Hope you're sticking around and hope you're getting your friends to also join. And your family. Give your family this podcast for Christmas. It's free, but still give it to them. And with that said, I would love to hear what's your favorite holiday, in brackets, media memory, or just holiday memory in general. What are your bold predictions for 2025? Let me know on social media or in the comments on Spotify if you listen there. Drop me a message at FunkitPod on social media. I would really love to hear from you as always. One more time this year, like, share, subscribe, press that button. That would be really cool. And get ready for a big and interesting start in 2025. I already have some ideas for some episodes, so I'm very, very motivated, very excited to drop some cool stuff in 2025. So can't wait to share this with you all. Until then, stay safe, take care, stay festive, enjoy the holidays, relax, take some time off, also off the screen, and we'll see and talk to each other again in the new year. Until then, Sawadee Ka.